Few political leaders have divided public opinion as deeply as Margaret Thatcher. To her supporters, she was a leader of conviction, a politician willing to make difficult decisions when others avoided them. To her critics, she embodied rigidity, a leader whose certainty often came at a significant social cost. Yet both perspectives point toward the same reality. Margaret Thatcher was not a politician who adapted herself to circumstances. She was a politician who attempted to reshape circumstances around her. And that distinction reveals the psychology that defined her rise, her dominance, and ultimately her downfall. Because the story of Margaret Thatcher is not simply about economics or politics, it is about conviction. What happens when belief becomes a source of strength, and what happens when that same belief becomes difficult to question. Margaret Hilda Roberts was born in 1925 in the small English town of Grantham. She did not emerge from aristocratic privilege. She was the daughter of a grocer. Her father was active in local politics and deeply committed to principles of personal responsibility, hard work, and self-reliance. These values became foundational. Children absorb more than advice. They absorb worldviews. And Thatcher grew up believing that individual effort mattered profoundly, that success should be earned, that dependency created weakness. The environment of her childhood also contributed to a powerful psychological trait: outsider awareness. She was intelligent and ambitious, yet she often found herself operating within institutions dominated by people from more privileged backgrounds. The experience left a lasting mark. Many leaders who rise from outside established elites develop an intense need to prove themselves, not occasionally. Constantly, achievement becomes validation. Every success becomes evidence that they belong. Every failure threatens to confirm what critics already suspect. This dynamic can generate extraordinary determination. It can also create extraordinary stubbornness. Thatcher excelled academically. She studied chemistry at university before later training as a lawyer. Her path into politics was neither immediate nor easy. She faced repeated setbacks, election defeats, skepticism, dismissal. At a time when British politics remained overwhelmingly male, many observers struggled to imagine a woman leading a major political party. Yet resistance often strengthens conviction in certain personalities. Instead of moderating her ambitions, obstacles appeared to reinforce them. Each challenge became proof that persistence was necessary. By the time Thatcher entered national politics, Britain was confronting serious difficulties: economic stagnation, industrial unrest, inflation, declining confidence. The post-war consensus that had guided British politics for decades appeared increasingly fragile. Many politicians sought compromise. Thatcher sought transformation. This marked the beginning of her rise. She did not present herself as a manager of existing systems. She presented herself as a challenger of those systems. Psychologically, this is a powerful position. People become frustrated when institutions appear incapable of solving problems. They begin searching for leaders who project certainty, leaders who seem willing to act decisively. Thatcher understood this dynamic. Her confidence became part of her appeal. Whether people agreed with her or not, few doubted that she believed what she was saying. In 1979, she became Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, the first woman ever to hold the office. The achievement alone was historic, but it was only the beginning. Once in power, Thatcher moved quickly. She pursued policies designed to reduce state intervention in the economy. She challenged trade union influence. She emphasized competition, privatization, and market reforms. The consequences were profound. Some industries declined. Communities experienced significant hardship. Other sectors expanded. Economic structures changed. The country began moving in a new direction. Throughout this period, one psychological characteristic became increasingly visible: Thatcher's relationship with conflict. Many leaders view conflict as a problem to minimize. Thatcher often viewed conflict as evidence that meaningful change was occurring. She appeared unusually comfortable with confrontation. In fact, resistance sometimes seemed to strengthen her resolve. This quality made her exceptionally difficult to pressure, but it also made compromise more difficult. The same trait that protected her from intimidation could also reduce flexibility. Power was beginning to change her, not through corruption, through reinforcement. Every victory strengthened the belief that conviction produced results. Every successful confrontation validated her methods. Human beings learn from outcomes. When a strategy repeatedly works, confidence in that strategy grows. Sometimes appropriately, sometimes excessively. A defining moment arrived during the Falklands War in 1982. When Argentina invaded the Falkland Islands, many observers questioned Britain's response. The military operation that followed succeeded. The victory transformed public perceptions. Thatcher's leadership image strengthened dramatically. Political authority expanded. Criticism diminished. Support increased. This period marked the peak of her influence. She became one of the most recognizable political figures in the world. Foreign leaders took notice. Allies respected her determination. Opponents respected it as well. The nickname, the Iron Lady, captured something essential. Not simply toughness, consistency, and unwillingness to bend under pressure. Yet every strength carries a potential weakness. The qualities that enable individuals to rise often create difficulties once they reach the top. History provides countless examples. Julius Caesar, Napoleon, Charles de Gaulle, leaders whose confidence became inseparable from their identity. The challenge is subtle. When conviction repeatedly produces success, questioning oneself begins to feel unnecessary, and sometimes even dangerous. This brings us to one of the most important psychological patterns in Thatcher's career: insulation from criticism. Power changes information. The longer leaders remain successful, the more likely people are to filter what reaches them. Advisors become cautious. Supporters become protective. Dissent becomes uncomfortable. Gradually, honest disagreement becomes less common, not because criticism disappears, because access to power increasingly depends upon avoiding it. By the late 1980s, Thatcher had governed for more than a decade. Her authority within government remained immense, yet tensions were growing. Some colleagues believed her leadership style had become increasingly inflexible. Others worried that confidence had evolved into certainty. The distinction matters. Confidence accepts the possibility of error. Certainty often does not. The environment around her was changing. The Cold War was entering its final stages. Economic conditions were evolving. Political priorities were shifting. Yet leaders who succeed by challenging old assumptions sometimes struggle when circumstances themselves begin changing. The same decisiveness that once accelerated progress can begin slowing adaptation. The controversy surrounding the community charge, commonly known as the poll tax, exposed these vulnerabilities. The policy generated widespread opposition. Public anger intensified. Political support weakened. Perhaps more importantly, resistance emerged within her own party. This was significant. External criticism is expected. Internal criticism is different. It signals that even close allies are questioning direction. For years, Thatcher had overcome opposition through determination. This time, determination was not enough. In 1990, after a leadership challenge and growing divisions within her party, she resigned. The departure shocked many observers. Leaders who dominate political life for long periods often appear permanent, until suddenly they are not. The fall was not immediate collapse. It was something more revealing, a gradual realization that the qualities which created success were no longer producing the same outcomes. This pattern appears repeatedly throughout history. The environment changes. The leader remains committed to proven methods. Tension grows. Eventually, adaptation becomes necessary. When adaptation fails, decline begins. Yet reducing Thatcher's story to success or failure misses something deeper. Her influence extended far beyond her years in office. Political opponents adjusted their strategies in response to her legacy. Supporters continued defending her ideas. Debates she helped shape persisted for decades. Very few leaders leave such a lasting imprint. Psychologically, Thatcher represents an important lesson about conviction. Modern culture often celebrates flexibility. And for good reason. Adaptability is essential. Yet excessive flexibility can produce indecision. Some situations require firmness. Some require persistence. The challenge is knowing when conviction remains a strength and when it becomes a limitation. That was the central tension of Thatcher's career. The same unwavering belief that enabled her to challenge established systems also made it harder to reconsider certain assumptions later. She succeeded because she believed. She struggled because she believed. The two realities cannot easily be separated. Perhaps that is why Margaret Thatcher continues to provoke such strong reactions. People are not merely debating policies, they are debating a personality type. The determined reformer. The individual willing to stand alone. The person who prioritizes principle over popularity. History offers no simple verdict on such figures. They often achieve extraordinary change. They often create extraordinary controversy. Sometimes both simultaneously. In the end, Margaret Thatcher's story is not simply about politics. It is about the psychological burden of certainty. Most people spend their lives wondering whether they are right. Thatcher spent much of hers convinced that she was. That confidence helped transform a nation. It also narrowed the space for doubt. And doubt, while uncomfortable, is often where adaptation begins. Power rewards conviction. History rewards results. But wisdom may require something else entirely. The ability to hold strong beliefs while recognizing their limits. The ability to lead without becoming trapped by one's own success. Margaret Thatcher mastered the first challenge. The second proved more difficult. Yet decades after leaving office, her influence remains unmistakable. Not because everyone agrees with her, but because few can ignore her. And perhaps that is one of the clearest signs of historical significance. Long after the arguments end, the questions remain. What should government do? What should individuals do for themselves? How much change is too much? How much resistance is too little? Margaret Thatcher forced a generation to confront those questions, and in doing so, secured a form of influence that outlived political power itself.